No one said dirt biking was easy, Dave.
If it was, Slim Will would do it.
That's right.
What?
Right there.
What's up, guys? It's been a long process, but the Beta 200 2023 model race edition is done. So we just got back from Tillamook, 4 days of hell. We spent anywhere from 10 to 12 hours a day on the bike, and we went a total of 165 miles.
Day 4, guys, and this Beta 200 is growing on me. I think I've actually kind of figured out where it makes power, where it likes to be. The thing is super, super nimble. So having a blast out here, and I don't know how you couldn't. This is just amazing rainforest to ride. But yeah, stay tuned for the end here. I'm gonna give kind of my final thoughts and how everything's holding up. So yeah.
It was grueling, but beautiful. I can't wait to share the video with you guys, but I just wanted to share my thoughts with the bike here. We have a ton of aftermarket parts that we put on it. Yeah, so we picked this bike up about a month and a half ago from Sierra BMW in Reno. Big shout out to those guys. They gave us a great deal. The bike it's not a super popular bike for them, so it took about 3 weeks for us to get. But once we got it, we were enthralled. We just couldn't wait to get our hands on this thing and start putting all the pieces that we felt necessary to be basically a hard enduro weapon out there. So I wanted to kind of pick through everything with you guys, show you what we did, how it held up. There really isn't any more grueling of a terrain than we went through for the last 4 days, and everything held up super well, so pumped. So you've heard it all in many videos, but it seems like the biggest component of hard enduro is the tire choices. And we think we have the perfect combination with these two. We run the Shinko fat tire up front, and it's the soft compound. Being that it's fat, it almost gives like another inch of travel to the forks, which is amazing. It held up super well. And with the rear, we went with the JX8 Chakota gummy tire. It went through quite a bit of gnarly miles, so it doesn't look exactly great, but it hooked up amazing, and that's all I could ask for. So we have about 11 hours on the tire. So being that it's a race model, it came with a few trick little items that the RR model doesn't come with. One being the front axle pull. Super cool trick little red anodized pull, but it's super easy to get the front wheel off. The non-race model, the RR, comes with a oil injection system, whereas the race does not, so you have to premix your fuel, which we enjoy anyways. We just came off of the 23 TBI 300 XC KTM, which we had a similar deal with that as well. So mix and fuel, you just peace of mind. You have your own ratios. You never have to worry about it running too lean on that. A couple other little things with the race edition as well is it comes with their Beta Racing pegs. It honestly took a little bit to get used to. They're a little bit chunkier than, once I got used to them, they're super nice platform, and they stick very well as well. Yeah, one of the biggest deals with the race edition is the suspension that it comes with. It comes with both KYB forks and rear shock. Any previous years on the race editions only came with KYB forks and a ZF shock. They used to run the Sachs. I don't know if it is still Sachs shock, but now they come with a matching KYB set. And another really cool thing that Beta does is the BYOB, build your own Beta system. And what that means is you can actually talk to a technician over there. Tyler Custer's a friend of ours. He's one of the suspension techs, and you can go through and get the same factory setup that the off-road team has. And so they called me up, they asked me what riding I was doing. I told them I was primarily doing hard enduro. They have a pro rider named Danny Lewis, and they ended up going with his settings. He's a little smaller of a guy, so we ended up going a little bit higher on the spring rate, but all in all, this suspension works amazing. The first day it was a little stiff, a little harsh. I think maybe just because it was a brand new bike, it wasn't quite broken in yet. But I backed off 3 clicks of the compression, 2 clicks of rebound, both front and rear. And the corresponding days after that was just super plush, and it worked out perfectly. So again, when you're out in the mountains and you're 30 miles away from any kind of civilization, all your guards and all your protective equipment comes in at a premium, and that's why we didn't quite spare any expense with all these parts. So with that being said, Bulletproof Designs was at the top of our list to get on this bike. We went with their radiator guards, their swing arm tab, and also their rear brake rotor guard. Like I said, 4 days of just gnarly stuff, and it kept our radiator straight, kept our rotors from getting bent, and also the swing arm tab comes in clutch, because if you do bend those tabs, you're ended up rubbing on your chain, you can bust a master link. So super pumped on the Bulletproof stuff for sure. From the factory, they do come with a little bit of a flimsier flag style that also comes off of tang on the bars, so it clutters your bars up. What I wanted to do is get the clutter out of there, so I went with the Enduro Engineering flags. They're super, super strong, and what's great about them is they actually bolt up from the OEM perch. It's just really great, especially when you guys don't like a ton of stuff on your bars. The Enduro Engineering stuff works great. We went with the E3 pipe guard on this bad boy. A lot of guys, you know, sometimes they run without pipe guards. I tend to like them. They do sometimes crease in if you do get a big hit closer towards the frame, but at least you don't have those big power dents. So again, we went with the E3. We're pumped on those guys. And the SXS skid plate from John over there is amazing. We won't go with anything else. I've put many and many hours on these skid plates, and they hold up. So once we put the deposit down on the Beta, I sent an email over to our friends over at Crosslink Components. They make these amazing swing arm guards, super strong plastic, and they didn't have anything out for the Betas yet. So we gave them like a month and a half, 2 months heads up, and they were able to rush a design and get this thing completely tested out. They sent it over to us, we gave them a few measurements, and they came out amazing. I couldn't tell you how many times I got stuck on a log, a rock, whatever it was. Without these guards, I'd be grinding on a beautiful swing arm. So being that it was a 200, we know we were gonna be a little bit lacking on the horsepower department. So we went with the VHM head along with the VHM Athena Git ECU. It was amazing. Up there, like I said, we started at sea level. We went all up to 3,000 feet. There wasn't a case of me thinking like, man, I really need that extra power like I had with the 300. It just lit up when I wanted it to. So where it builds power is completely different from the 300. So the 300 is super low, constantly have power, low, down in the RPMs. You're never having to feather the clutch. As soon as you get to halfway throttle to full throttle, it kind of signs off, and that's where this 200 makes its hay. It just completely lights up. It's super fun bike. You know, you see any tree, logs, rocks, anything you want to blip over, you just wick this thing and it just screams. More playful, kind of like a 125. So the other rad thing it came with was the Git map switch that I put on the bars. The first map is their hot map. I thought, again, being that it was a 200, I thought I was going to be in that hot map the whole time, thinking I needed more. That was not the case. Actually, I only used the hot map maybe 20% of the time, mainly just for really gnarly sandy hill climbs or something. I just wanted to have fun. We did a couple little turn tracks, more moto style, and that's what I left that map in for. But for the gnarly low end stuff, I honestly put it on the detune map. It just gave a little bit more luggability to it. And it was great just having that on the bars and super easy to adjust.
What's up, guys? Day 4 on the Beta 200 race up here in the Tillamook Forest. And we finally got some rain. Look at that. Look at the dirt. Straight up rainforest in here, boys. We're having a killer time. Bike's running awesome. Yeah.
Still.
To the top of the world. It's a little foggy.
Dude, I can't see had?
In my opinion, one of the coolest things we did to this bike was the smart carb. Just to kind of go back a little bit, the race editions do come with carburetor. It's weird to say old school, but it is kind of old school nowadays in the two-stroke world. You have to jet them depending on where you were going. Again, we were in Tillamook, right on the ocean, so we needed to adjust for sea level. Our shop is at 4,500 feet, and we were looking on forums all over the place, and no one really had a concise setup. So we said, let's just go straight up with smart carb. We love those guys over there. It's a jetless carb. So they asked us what bike he had. He sent it over. Nathan over there, he's a rad dude. And it came in the box. We set it up. It was a super easy install and it worked flawlessly.
All right, so I guess this hill is gnarly. We're gonna find out what this beta is all about.
The first day was running a little lean, but what's great about the smart carb is it's very easy to adjust. You hold the throttle wide open, there's a little clicker on top. I clicked it two steps on the rich side and it was great. So it's really big for us just because we have been spoiled with the KTM fuel injection systems or the TPI systems on the two strokes for so long. 3 weeks we're going to be in Idaho where we go from 4,500 to 10,000 feet, and I hate to bring jets in the pack and start rejetting things when I'm up there because we spend a lot of time up at high elevation. So for the smart carb, ease of mind, it was just perfect. We kept with the stock expansion chamber. We ended up just going with the FMF Sparky. Being that we're in the mountains, you got to have a spark arrestor, and FMF has the best one. It has the turbine core. You don't have to clean the screen out or anything like that, so pumped on their product. With the graphics, we ended up going with M7 Designs. They're a Canadian-based company. We went with them on the 300 build. Their stuff is extremely clean. They have that really cool chromatic sheen to their graphics, and their customer service is amazing. We just love those guys. So with the build, we wanted to keep it simple. We honestly wanted to kind of keep the same color scheme as the OEM race editions come with. I think it turned out amazing. Seat concept seat. When you're talking 10, 12-hour days on a motorcycle, you better have a comfy seat. I didn't necessarily get to try the OEM seat, but reading forums and watching videos, that was kind of the biggest gripe, was their OEM seat was very like a 2x4. So seat concepts, those guys are amazing. The color scheme turned out perfect with the graphics as well, so shout out to those guys. With the controls, we ended up going with the ODIs again. Those guys are great. We went with the McGrath bend. It's the first time I've ran the McGrath bend. It's a little lower. I actually really liked it. It's probably gonna be the bend here on out for any other future builds. The other thing too is we went with their aluminum throttle tube. We've used the lock-on grips for the longest times from ODI, but we've noticed that in the hard enduro situation, and really any trail riding situation when you're falling over.
Good job. Powers. Getting that booty workout.
You can break that plastic end off and now you're having dirt in the throttle tube. So we decided to scrap that. ODI makes an amazing aluminum one, so we went with that. And it's a little bit of a bummer going back to the glue-on grips, but hey, if it saves us some time on the trail, we'll go for it any day. Again, when you're flipping over, falling over on gnarly rocks and roots and trees, you gotta have levers that can withstand it. ASV makes an amazing lever. They're foldable. What I really like about them too is that they're textured, so they give a little extra feel with the glove. When we got the bike, the stock gearing was a 1549, which we thought was pretty absurd, especially for the type of riding we're gonna be doing. So we ended up going with a 1350, which was a drastic change from the OEM gearing. But with 4 days of time on the bike and being in the gnarliest of situations, I feel like we'll probably end up bumping a 14 tooth on the countershaft sprocket. What I was finding was second and third was a real sweet spot in a lot of the technical situations. I'd like it to be first and second. So the 14 will help out tremendously with that. We went with the zirconium chromatic sprocket with the blue and red and white, and the shine on the graphics, we've got to keep it with the blingy sprocket. So yeah, and as you guys have seen, we're pushing our rotors a little bit more these days. We feel like we have the best rotor on the market, but we're constantly doing little tweaks and fixes to them. And these are actually some prototype rotors. We're currently working on a different surface grinding process here at the shop, and I think we're really close. So be tuned and stay tuned on that. But they held up great. You know, I noticed the biggest difference on the front brake, especially on these really gnarly hills and mountains. When you're coming down and relying on that front brake a ton, you don't have to worry about it heating up as fast as OEM, and the grab is anywhere from like 20 to 30% more. So once you get used to that, it's a game changer. Another big thing for us is the chain sliders. We scrapped the OEM stuff right off the bat, and we went with the TM Designs. They're a local company here in the US, great customer service. We've been with them for, shoot, we're probably going on 20 years now. So any future bike will always have those. They're super strong and durable. Being up in the mountains, you have to keep your bike cool, especially when you're getting into some gnarly situations, whether that be chopping a tree down or pulling your bike up off of a cliff. It kept the bike cool the whole time. It didn't have any overheating. Super easy install. So shout out to Trail Tech. We went with the Reverend Holy Smoke 2-stroke premix. This is the first time of me personally using it. It smells amazing. So a lot of the guys behind me were like, what are you burning in that thing? It smells like a combination of coffee and marshmallows. And it was super easy to mix. It smells great. So shout out to those guys. It's two guys out of California selling this stuff. It's great. So stock, straight from Beta Factory, these come with the Excel wheels. What I did notice is being on the Austrian bikes for so long, you pretty much can't keep a spoke tight on the KTMs, Huskies, or Gas Gasses. If you have any ideas, please leave them in the comments, but I'm always losing them. I'm always having to tighten them. This was 4 brutal days, and I think I had to tighten like 3 spokes, and it wasn't a ton. So amazing wheels. It's one thing that's kind of a pet peeve for me, just because I feel like, you know, once you tighten them once or twice, it should be good. And that's what these wheels have done. So that's a really cool plus. Thanks a ton, guys, for being a part of the build and kind of following as we go. This one took a little bit longer, just being that it's such a rare bike, but we are just thrilled of how this thing came out. Thanks a ton to all these amazing companies. Everything that we purchased for this bike did exactly what we wanted it to. So thanks a ton. Stay tuned for the channel here. We're going to be going up to Sawtooth in about 3 weeks. We're going to have some amazing content up there. Some of the best riding I've ever done personally. So stay tuned.